Hi everyone, Dr. Victoria Mattingly here from Mattingly Solutions, and I'm here with the phenomenal Dr. J, NaTasha Jordan, PhD. We are Dr. V and Dr. J, and this is a follow-up video to by far my most popular video on YouTube, which is Ask Two IO Psychologists Anything. Shout out to Kayvon Tucker, who's at Google and has his own coaching practice, who made that video with me, and we've had such an incredible response and outpouring of feedback, positive feedback, especially from students or those trying to find their way in an IO career. And so Dr. J has the most phenomenal story about how she's leveraged and succeeded at using networking to sincerely craft her dream role. I am loving what I'm doing right now, and I know networking had a huge role in where I'm at with my company and my IO career. So we just wanted to share our stories and really focus on networking and inspire and empower you all to build your own networks to grow your careers as well. So how is it going, Dr. J? What is the update? Where are you at? You just made this incredible announcement on Instagram. Tell us all about your new role and how it's going.
So thank you, V. V is so humble, you guys. Like this whole segment should be really about her and how her and I met, but I digress. That'll be another video. We'll do that. So right now, I just announced that, well, actually that post that I put was just for Women's International Day. And I was talking about, my own perspective of what it means to be a woman. And one thing hit me, and I've heard this like in different quotes and in different places, but it's like, I wasn't born a woman, but through the adversity and through the challenges and through just the things that I've been through, I've become one. And so it's not something that you just arrive at, just by way of, flipping your hair and wearing lipstick. Like it's something that you come to through the things that you've been through. So shout out to all the women who are just killing it, especially V here. And I think, is it the whole month?
It's Women's History Month. Okay. There was International Women's Day, but like, who are we kidding here? Like, we need to be celebrating, amplifying, empowering women all year round.
All year round. Yeah. And so, which just leads me to V and you and I met, about a year ago, and well, a little over a year ago.
Yeah, let's share that story now. I think that's such. Okay. If we're bringing networking to light, like I feel like that's a beautiful story, and that was networking 101 right there.
That is true. So V and I are huge fans of a phenomenal guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, or Gary V if you look him up. And I don't know, he made a post or something like that on LinkedIn, and me and V, we were just kind of commenting in the comments, basically doing what he says to do with his $1.80 strategy. And we found each other, and we connected, and I said, you know what, I'm thinking about starting a podcast. Would you mind becoming, one of my guests? And so V is like, sure. And then we meet just to, get to know each other. What was it, like over Zoom or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, and then we connected, and like, I don't know about you, V, but I just fell in love with V. I'm like, who is this? Because one of our biggest things is that, and my whole thesis is, people say, nobody knows what IO psychology is. Like, it's IO psychology's fault. Yeah. Whatever that is. Like, IO psychology is not a person. It's the thing that we do. It's the thing that we are. So everybody, nobody knows what we do. And when people do talk about it, it's like, oh, we're like HR. And it's like, no. And me,
we partner with HR. We partner with them. We are not HR.
Partner with them. No slight to our little cousins, but we partner with them. And so my whole thing was, we need to put out resources that tell people what we do in a way that they can understand, not in this like high scholarly way. Like, who can understand that jargon? If we're trying to reach clients who are not IO psychologists, then we need to speak plainly to them. And so V and I were really tracking on that. And we just started brainstorming about different ways on how we can just kill it on our own social media, how we can shed more light on what IO psychology is, and also just get opportunities to share with people what what is IO psychology and why is it important and why do you need it in your particular organization? And so the rest is history. We morphed this relationship, and V, you correct me, but I think we morphed this relationship into, you know, here's what I'm trying to do. Here's what you're trying to do. How can we come together and like help each other? And it's literally been that since day one. Yeah. You know, and so when she's had certain opportunities, she's brought me in on it. When I've learned about certain things or had opportunities, I brought her in on it. It's just been this huge, just beautiful knowledge share and exchange of just resources, tools. I don't even know how to explain it, but
well, can I add one more thing? In addition to everything you just said, it's also that pro-social support, right? And we, you know, it's one thing, yes, tools, resources, you know, we're always sharing and trying to, you know, help, you know, have that mind share, that knowledge share, but the social and emotional support of being an entrepreneur, trying to figure out your way. You know, we worked our asses off in grad school to get these PhDs, get these degrees. And then, you know, there's no blueprint after that. And I remember being in grad school, it's like, oh, you go academic or applied, academic or applied. And I was like, we have these two options, two cookie cutter options. And you and I very much created our own path, our own.
I rebelled. I love it.
Me too. Looking back, me too. You know, my last corporate job, I genuinely burnt out, but, you know, trying to unpack why that happened. A big part of it was me rebelling against, you know, I'm being put in this box. My potential is not being utilized, and I'm being given way too much work that, you know, someone with an instructional design degree could do. You know, like, where I want to use my PhD, I want to create this path for myself. And so I love that rebel. I love it. I love it.
And rightly so, right? Like no one, and even though we had these ideas and we understood the power of making strong connections, having a good network, and also use digital marketing as a strategy to get yourself out there. It doesn't matter if you're going into corporate, it doesn't matter if you're going to go on your own. You need to have a network and you need to make connections. And so we already understood that social media is the vehicle to get our field out there. And so now we look at what happened with COVID. Everyone's kind of forced to kind of rethink, like, oh, wait a minute. I knew John or Steve, but John and Steve's businesses are failing, or John and Steve's businesses aren't what they were. So I can't depend on that network. And like, well, how are people going to know who I am? Like, it's no longer about, you know, that good old boy system. It's now about who's going to be the person that's the loudest in the room. And it doesn't matter about their experience. It doesn't matter about, you know, the education. Who's going to be the loudest person in the room? And that in the room is digital, is social media. I'm sorry.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Real quick, I wanted to ask a follow-up question. You mentioned earlier about Gary Vee's $1.80 strategy. What is that?
That's pretty much, you know what that is. That is pretty much you getting onto social media. It doesn't matter whatever platform. I think it really works well on Instagram, definitely works on LinkedIn as far as the professional landscape goes. But you find a topic that you're interested in or that resonates with you or your career field. They comment or they say something, and then you get under there and you like it, and then you comment. You kind of leave your 2 cents. You do this about, 5, 6, 9 times. It'll, in a sense, the theory is it adds up to like $1.80 every time you leave your 2 cents on, on a post. But you're not just saying like, oh, great job. Oh, that's good. Like you're offering like valuable commenting, and you're not getting on there, acting like you're the person that know all and be all. Like you might get on there and ask like genuine questions, or you might get on there and, ask for advice, or you might get on there and just say like, wow, this is really good. This aligns with some research that I just saw, over here in this journal. You're getting on there, and the goal is to just add as much value as you possibly can.
Value add, value first. And I feel like that's an approach both you and I really embody, and with everything we've done in our career journeys, and that's led to where we're at today. And so let's talk a little bit more what happened after we met Dr. J. So, I think everyone knows we're each other's cheerleaders. We formed this friendship. We've never met in person. I cannot wait to the day we're all vaccinated, everything's safe, and we can meet up in person at some conference someday. I'm going to give you the biggest hug. I don't even know if you're a hugger. I hope you are, but it's coming.
Hugger. Look, coronavirus, I understand. I give people space, and, you know, I'm very respectful of, you know, what people want to do, but I'm from the South, I'm from Alabama, and we hug even if I don't know you, honey, we're hugging. Okay.
We are hugging.
So you and we're definitely hugging. Yeah, so one of the biggest things, I think that, I can't remember if it happened before or after, but I created that one resource, and it says, what is IO psychology? And it's on my LinkedIn. And it got like ridiculous amounts of traffic. And so I said, you know what, there's something that is here as far as us getting out what it is that we do, because I've always thought like psychologists and IO psychologists, like all of them, we're just so stuffy and we're so stuck up, and we think that no one else has the brain power or the finesse or whatever to like have this information. And I always give the example, like, look at Tony Robbins. He literally has, I don't even think he has a degree. If he does, it's like a bachelor's, but he does what we do.
Yeah.
And he's getting paid millions to go and do it.
Yeah.
So forget the credentials, forget the experience. And so once I understood, and V, you actually helped me understand this, that my credentials are it's just a way to have a different conversation in the room. It is not the end all be all. It is not the one thing that I necessarily lead with, but it gives me an opportunity to step into a room and have a certain kind of conversation.
Yes.
You know, maybe prior to the PhD, you know, I might be able to say things like, I don't even know how to explain it. You might be able to unpack that, V, but it just allowed me to have a different conversation in the room. So once I understood that the PhD is not the one thing that I have to lead with, it's not the one thing that is, and that people are going to look at that thing and say, oh, she's a PhD, let me just throw this money and things at her. It was still some work that needed to be done. Yeah. So I started to, you know what, I'm going to start owning this whole marketing and branding thing for psychologists. And people who are in our career.
We need it bad.
Yeah. I'm going to start reaching out to people, and just like every time I have a conversation, I'm going to talk about branding and marketing from an IO psychology perspective. And so I started I got this client in London. She reached out to me about, you know, helping her to brand her practice. She was coming out of corporate and starting her own business. And like, I've been doing corporate for like 20 some years. I don't know the first thing to do now. I had this other lady that I partnered with in California. She's doing an amazing job with trying to bring just regular training and development practices to the masses rather than just people at the top. Anyway, I just started to partner with different psychologists on what it was that they were doing, but from a marketing and branding perspective. And I said, you know what? There's definitely something here.
Yeah.
And so I said, you know, I felt I reached my limit of what I knew about branding and marketing. And I said, you know what, I need to go to the best of the best. Now, you might first think we're talking about Gary Vaynerchuk, and if you've looked him up by now, you're like, okay, this is the best of the best. But I said, you know what, I don't want to go to him. I want to go to his right-hand man. And when I started to look up James Orsini, I have been following him for a while. His name is James Orsini. And I started to see like he grows businesses. He's worked at Saatchi & Saatchi. He's worked at, just these amazing businesses, and he's helped to kind of turn them around and help them meet their goals. He's an operations guy. And so you said, I know.
Real quick, Dr. J, real quick. What made you decide that you wanted to go to Gary Vee's right-hand man and not him himself? Like why not go to Jeff Bezos? Why go to, whoever is under him? Like what was that strategy behind that networking decision that you made?
That is such a good question. And if anyone has a pen and a paper, you need to go get one if you don't have one.
Press pause, go get one, come back.
A lot of times we think that we have to go for the biggest and the greatest because we've been taught in school, and I was in the military. And so you're kind of taught this in the military as well. They pump your head up so much that you're this and you're that, and you're the greatest, and people are going to be flaunting themselves at you. And that's just not true. It's not true. Once you realize what your goals and your mission and your values are just for your own self, you start to see that, okay, this is not, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like this is not who I am. Like my PhD is not who I am. It's something that I'm going to use to get me to where it is that I'm trying to go. Because if it was stripped of me today, I mean, we see medical doctors and lawyers and many people lose their licenses, lose those titles, you know, and then who are they at the end of the day? When they've attached themselves so intertwined to that title and to that credential, to the point where that credential or that title makes them who they are, what happens when it's gone? So, and that's one thing, again, V, I think you and I talked about a whole lot, like this, you're going to value me because I have busted my butt to get this, but it's not who I am. Because I think, and if we went that route, we'd say, well, we do have to go the traditional way. We do have to go work for the McKinseys and the Bains and the Accentures and these larger, because that's what IO psychologists, PhDs do. You're supposed to go do that. But that's not the route we take. And I don't think that's the route anyone should take. Just see it as something valuable. So with that, when I understood what is my mission, what is my goals, and what are my values, I need to learn what marketing and branding truly is, because I need to take this back to my people.
Yeah.
We don't know what it means to step out of a scholarly setting and actually come to people that we want to be our clients and say, here's how I can bring you value. Tell me what your problem is. Here's some challenges that you might face, you know, like using our skills and abilities to explain to them how we can help them. We don't know how to do that. And no one taught us that. It's just, you're a PhD, you know, you did research, you know, you have your dissertation, you know, statistics, and then that's the end all be all. But I was like, no. So my goals, my mission, and my values were, I needed to learn from someone who knew what it meant to be in the context of a business. So instead of going to Gary, he's untouchable, right? Not that he's untouchable, but that's just not where I was aligned at. He's doing his thing. He's bringing marketing, you know, to the masses, and he's running his amazing company and things like that. But I needed to talk to someone who's like just in the trenches of the business, who understands business and how branding and marketing play into that. Not only that, James was also not a marketing guy. And I had listened to tons of his podcasts and different guest appearances that he's had. And he's not a marketing guy. He's an operations guy. So it's like, that's very aligned with IO psychology. I want to talk to him. I want to learn from him. So I reached out to him on LinkedIn and I said, you know, hey, you know, it was a long message. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I said, hey, you know, I want to learn consulting and, you know, marketing and branding. And, you know, I understand that you do this, this, and this. And, you know, I don't want to go the traditional route. I want to do something a little bit different. You know, basically, can you give me an opportunity? And so he responds back surprised.
You're living out a crucial part, because I remember before she hit send on this, we had one of our chats, you know.
Yes, we did.
Dr. J bought a virtual cup of coffee. She bought him some Starbucks virtual gift card because, you know, she's down in Florida, he's up in New York City. So let me buy, and she literally bought him a cup of coffee and then said her piece. I just thought that was so clever and so smart, you know, and like, I know IOs like debunk the hierarchy of needs, right? But like you meeting his bottom need of needing to be caffeinated, you know, like even though I'm sure he can buy himself a cup of coffee, but that small gesture, you know, we get so hung up on what you were saying with like the PhD and I got this degree. It's like, but have you bought someone a cup of coffee lately? Like, what can you do out of your way to make someone feel valued and respected, and like you are giving me your time, you are giving me an opportunity, let me do something for you. Value first. I had to call it out because like I just thought that was so brilliant of you, and I just love that story. Yeah,
V, when I tell you that is my secret weapon, I've done it quite a few times, and the thing about it is this: I don't go for people who can't make the decisions. Right? And I know that might sound a little arrogant, but if that person can't make the decision, you're kind of wasting your time.
Wasting everyone's time. Your time, their time, everyone's time.
Exactly. So if you're going to go for an opportunity, if you're going to go to grow your network and to learn something, you need to, if you go for the top, and if you're going to go for the top, like you said, V, respect that person's time. Show them that I am serious about this and I value whatever it is that you give me. Yep. So that is a secret weapon. You need to be buying people coffee. Mm-hmm. You can get you go spend $20 at McDonald's or at wherever, Grubhub, which they just upcharge out the yin yang. You go and spend that money to get you something that you're just gonna use in the toilet, okay? And I'm sorry to be vulgar, but that's just what it is. So take that money and go and grow your network with quality, valuable people. And I'm not saying like write down all the CEOs, you know, Fortune 100 companies and Fortune 500.
Buy them all coffees.
Buy them all coffees. I'm not saying that. The first part, and I want, you know, people to hang on to this, is you need to know what your goals and what your mission and what your values are. If you do not know that, then you're just going to be bouncing from place to place to place to place to place, you know, and your resume is going to look like, so how can you help us in our company? Like, you need to know what it is that you want to do and what it is that you're trying to do before you start reaching out to these people. So once you know that, value their time, buy them a cup of coffee, tell them that, you know, all I want is like 30 minutes. And so going into that, James gave me 15 minutes. And you remember I called you, I'm like, what am I gonna do in 15 minutes? What can I say? And this is now, even if you guys go out, because I've had many yeses, but I've had a lot of no's.
Yes.
I've had a lot of, nope, I can't do anything for you. Here, go to this person. I don't have the time.
Or nothing.
Or nothing, exactly.
Yeah.
Or nothing at all. So don't get up. You will have no's. Like, and I think, I'm not sure what the age group is that's watching this, but I think a lot of people forget, like, you cannot have success without failure.
Yes.
Like, you need to fail like quite a few times before you actually understand and get like, okay, I've gone about it this way and I've tried this way and I've tried that way and this is not working. Okay, let me try something different. It pushes you to be a little innovative.
Yes.
Not just in your job search, but just in like, who are the type of people that you're meeting? I've met quite a few people who've wasted my time. Like, I felt like I understood what it was that I wanted to do. I understood what I wanted. But then when I talked to this person, they made it sound like, you know, it was something. But then when we get into the weeds of working together, it's like, oh, absolutely not. This is not where it's at. So failure is okay. Like, expect to fail. Don't think that you're going to listen to me and V's story and just like, oh, wow, it's going to happen just like that.
Exactly what they said. And I'm going to have all the success in the world. Like, failure is like, that's learning. Like, those are the best lessons you will ever receive. I always say, like, when you start an internship or a practicum or whatever to get an experience, it's even more valuable when you realize, actually, I don't like to do that. I don't want to do that. Like, that is a gift. Failure means you're doing it right. And the key to failing correctly, right, is seeing it as a learning opportunity and integrating it into, you know, iteration. How do I improve? This strategy didn't work for me. This type of person isn't going to help me, you know? And so how do you learn from that and move on? I mean, I think about my 6-year-old, you know, anytime he gets in trouble or messes up, you know, he gets all emotional. Okay, what did you learn? That's always the first question. What did you learn? You know, and then we can turn failures into resiliency. And that is so important, especially in the current climate we're living in the way the world is right now. The business, everything has changed, everything is different. We need to be resilient to be successful, and building resilience means failing quickly, failing often, and learning from it and growing as a result. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Oh, you better say that. That's the end.
Okay, so you reach out to James. He gives you 15 minutes. What happens next?
First of all, you talking about learning. I learned how to have a 15-minute conversation. We weren't even on the phone, I think 15 minutes. It was like 10 minutes. Mm-hmm. I remembered I had been taking many notes just like over the course of like 6 to 12 months about, you know, like listening to his podcast or his guest appearance on podcasts, listening to, reading some of the articles that he wrote like on LinkedIn. You know, I had been following him on Twitter. I mean, I wasn't stalking the guy, but I just like this, he was just appealing to me and what it was.
You're a researcher.
There you go. So when we met, you know, one of the first questions he asked was, what do you know about the company? Some of us forget, like, that's old school. Like, oh, what do you know about our company? You think that because you have the credential, like, they're like, oh, we want you. And, you know, we know this about you and we looked you up. No, you need to know something about that company. And if you know the history of why they are where they are, then you'll be able to actually tell them why they can use your expertise and why they can use your talent in that company. Yes. I've seen you come from here, you know, and all this other stuff. So I explained to him, I'm like, you know, the company is, you know, it was designed, you know, because you guys are working with small businesses. Vayner, the bigger company, is working with more large businesses, and you guys design your solutions or your offerings on how to grow these small businesses into bigger clients for VaynerMedia. And so, and he was like, okay. And then he started asking questions like, you know, what do I do? Like, what's my background and things like that. And then he was like, all right, so here's a challenge that I have. I have 3 new junior executives that are coming in amidst COVID, and they need coaching. I want them to be able to feel like they're a part of the company. And I said, okay, that's great. I can do that. And so he said,
I can do that.
I can do that. And he said, all right. He said, what I want you to do is put some things together for me. You know, let me know what it's like. And I really didn't know what question to ask. And I forget what I asked him, but we were not on the phone 15 minutes. It might've been 10 minutes. I found out he wanted to know what was my background. He explained to me what their background was. He explained to me what the challenge was. And then here's a solution. Yep. 10 or 15 minute conversations. So stop having 30-minute and 1-hour conversations, because you can do it in 15 minutes.
But the reason you were able to pull that off, and it's because you did your research, you knew your values, your mission, your purpose, and you are the IO psychology branding expert. Whenever he asked you, what do you do? You've been working on that answer for years in your work, in your research, in your business, and everything. And so like, that's why, you know, your life, someone watching out there, your life's not going to change in 15 minutes, but Dr. J's life did change in those 15 minutes, in those 10 minutes, because of all that work she put in beforehand that led up to that conversation. I just wanted to call that, it's all that prep that went into that.
You said that, B. That's one thing that you have to start working now. Yeah. I was talking to this group of grad students, and they were talking about, oh, you know, when I graduate, I'm going to do X. No, you should have started yesterday.
Yes. Yes.
You need to start thinking about what it is, trying everything you can. Now, I'm telling you, she just told you she has a 6-year-old. I have an 11-year-old and I have a 7-year-old. Okay. We've been all over the world because my husband is military, and I've had to do this with kids. V has had to do this with kids, and it has not stopped us. Many of you who may be watching this, you don't have children. So not to say that there's no excuse, but you have more flexibility to do things, to try things out. And as V said, to fail quickly, fail correctly, and keep it learning from that and keeping it moving. And so I say that because I'm coming from working with an IO psychologist in Hawaii at one of the largest medical military research hospitals, Tripler Army Medical Center. She was the only IO psychologist working at that hospital. And so I said, hey, I want to intern with you. I still have the message from her on LinkedIn. That's when I knew I was onto something. But what I did learn was they actually put me on the suicide watch floor to do some research. And I learned real quick, like in 1 month, that this is not for me. I know that I don't think I want to go the research medical route because something really tragic happened there. And I said, I can't do this. I know that I want to work with businesses now. It solidified that. So it's a lot of things that led up to what it is that I'm talking about, and things that V has shared and will share. We didn't just wake up and say that this is what we're going to do, and then we automatically got it. V talked about a lot of the emotions from last year, you know, when her and I met. It is so many. I think had I not had V last year, and I'm sure she'd say the same, that emotional connection was so important for someone to keep spurring me on and keep encouraging me. And I can tap on her to say, hey, V, I don't really know how to handle this and handle that. Like sales, V has it down, okay? And she was training me on that, okay? And I'm helping her, training her on marketing and branding. It's like, how do you form these good relationships and use them, not as like, I just need you to do X, Y, and Z, but like in the good times and in the bad times, and for us to keep moving on, because this journey can be very lonely. And you can kind of get down on yourself when things don't happen. So expect that it all won't just happen right away, you know, like B said, in a 15-minute call, but keep pushing. What can you learn from it? And so anyway, had that call with James. I started coaching his junior executives for about 3 months. And then I was coming up to my last little meeting with my last junior executive. And I told V, I said, V, how do I spin this? Like, how can I work with him? And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I prayed about that. Like, I'm just like, I really want to work with this company. I can learn so much from them. I can offer so much. You know, what if there are other junior executives who need coaching and things like that? And so one day I kind of just was, you know, it was just a joke. I reached out to James because I saw this job posted for like a social media like manager or something, you know, not very high up. And so I said to him, I said, hey, is this a short learning curve? You know, because I can learn very quickly. I said, just joking, you know, one day I'll be working with you guys. Within less than 1 hour, he put me in contact with the most wonderful woman, Maribel Lara, who is a senior vice president over consulting. So long story short, they bring me in to work for her, and she's building out the consulting arm pretty much. And I'm using like almost every single skill, every single experience that I've had working in organizations, working with executive coaching, doing organizational design and different types of things like that. I'm using it all right now.
I like chills. I like chills. And the consulting society you're in, like you,
yes, the society
you're a leader in that, and to be able to put that to use is just amazing, you know?
Yep. So up until now, so they put me in their resident program for about 3 months. And, you know, I'm like, I really hope, you know, they like me. And, you know, even Maribel said, you know, a lot of what you're doing, you know, it would have taken me months to get done. So, you know, I appreciate it. So the beautiful thing about all of it was, because I understood who I was, what I'm doing, and why I'm doing it, I was able to align myself with a company that is aligned with me. And so now I feel valued in this company. I feel like I'm learning so much about marketing and branding. I'm able to have like different conversations now, and how IO fits into this whole thing, and learning more and more about just the consulting process and sales pretty much. Just all of these different things, but I had a goal in mind, and every single step that I took was towards that goal, even if I failed.
Yes.
And it's taken about 10 years to get to this point. And so now I'm working full time with them.
What's your title, Dr. J?
It's Director of Consulting. And, you know, we'll see what it'll be in, you know, 2 years, maybe Vice President. I don't know.
I love it.
But my goal is just to keep learning and keep growing. I still do things on the side. Like I still help out some of my colleagues. I still grow those relationships. Like here we are with me and Dr. V. I still growing those relationships, still nurturing those relationships, because who knows what's going to happen in a year or two. But guess what? If this company needs some DE&I training, I have someone in my network. You know, so it's just networking and making very strong and powerful connections are just so important. And that's just what I want to say to the audience today. Like that is the key thing that you should be doing even now, right now.
Every day. And we have these amazing free tools at our disposal, right? So like, I know when I was in grad school, I'm a member of SIOP. I'm really involved in SIOP. That membership directory, once you're a member, you literally, I remember that time I came on in the first video, like I typed in, okay, learning and development, right? And like Netflix, what is it like to work in Netflix? And like, he was the only IO psychologist at the time who worked at Netflix. I'm like, reached out, cold call, cold email. What's it like to work at Netflix? Will you talk to me? And now he's in my network. We do stuff together, and it's awesome, right? And you know, the same with, I'm sure the consulting. What's the name of the Consulting Psychology Association?
It's the Society of Consulting Psychology. So it's Division 13. It's like the sister organization to SIOP.
Okay, got it. And I'm sure you worked that network, that group, you know, and you also gave back, right? You were so involved in the leadership and volunteering the same way I'm at SIOP, and it's giving. I feel like when people think about networking, they think about what can I get? Or like I was talking to my intern the other day, and she's like, I don't have enough to bring to the table. I'm like, no, because all you have to do is say, I want to be a future IO psychologist. You're doing amazing things. Can I buy you a coffee and for 15 minutes of your time to pick your brain? You know, like we don't have to bring these skill sets. It doesn't have to be networking for a job, because that if you're networking by the time you need a job, you're networking too late. Too late. You need to just be being in sponge mode, take advantage of being a student, take advantage of being in a transition, take advantage of, you know, the fact people just like to talk about themselves, you know, and just
you're an IO psychologist. That's the most important thing that you learn. You know, you were talking about the hierarchy of needs earlier, and you know, we kind of like frowned down on that a little bit, but it's like there's some truth to it. Like people love to talk about themselves. And what you said is so critical. I never reached out to anyone saying, what can I get? I want to talk to you because I want a job. I want to talk to you because I want to do this and do that. And I'm not exaggerating with this. I don't apply for jobs. I don't apply for them because I realize that somebody needs something. The problem is, how do I find out what it is that they need so that I can provide them value? It's never like, what can I get? What can I get? I want this and I want that. If you are going into it like that, you're going to fail, and you're not going to fail correctly.
What value can you provide right off the, so someone has a book, you go online and you buy that book and you leave a review, you know, and then you reach out. Hey, I loved your book. I loved your review. Can we chat? I mean, be creative, find out what people need, value first. Dr. J, let's wrap up. How should students or you know, those who are in a career transition or just trying to grow their career as early career IO psychologists, what should they do? Where should they reach out? How should they connect? What should they be doing?
Yes, so connect with me on LinkedIn. I don't know what my handle is, but it's NaTasha.
We'll put it in the comments. It'll be right there. It'll be right there.
But yes, please connect with me on LinkedIn. If you see in my network like somebody that you want to be connected with, and you know you want me to reach out to them for you, I'm be more than happy. I probably won't respond right away, but I'll eventually get to that. But while you're you know, connecting with V or myself, you know, start growing your own network. Use our LinkedIn pages as a format to create your own page. Go on our Instagrams. Mine is The Branded Psychologist. V, yours is Victoria Mattingly.
Dr. Victoria Mattingly. All that will be in the comments. So
okay, all that's going to be there. Go on Instagram, see how we're doing things, how we're interacting, and start doing those things like today, not tomorrow, but today.
Yeah, and get involved in SIOP, the Society for IO Psychology. Get involved in the Society for Consulting Psychology. Those links are in the comments below. Grow your network, figure out what you love, what you don't, and just get out there and do it. Be like Dr. J. Create your dream job. She's an
design it. And one more thing, be willing to work for free.
For a little bit. For a little bit,
not for a long time, but just for a little bit to get you to where it is that you're trying to go. And the reason I say that is because when you do that for a time, I had no clue. I knew that I'd be working for James for 3 months with his junior executives. I didn't know if they were going to have a job opening. I didn't know if they were going to have, you know, I didn't know what they would have. But by working for him for those 3 months, I showed him the value that I can bring to his company, the help that I can provide to him, and help him to foster and develop his own junior executives who, guess what, are going to be moving into leadership. So like, do these things to show your value, put your cap on it. Like, I'm not going to work for you for 5 years for free. Yeah. No. You know, I might do this for a couple of months, a week or whatever, but just do that as an opportunity to just show your value and allow that to lead to something else.
I love it. Thank you for taking your time and spending time sharing your story and wisdom and insights with our audience. And yeah, keep on crushing it, Dr. J. I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Bye.
Have a good day.